Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We're talking about you and your specific person today. If you're not seeing them show up, if they're not manifesting fully and visibly conforming in your reality, you're kind of seeing a longer period or a period of time with nothing visibly changing, you're not seeing the communication come in or anything like that, I'm going to explain to you guys today exactly the step to do that will change everything, the approach to take, the mindset to have. I'm going to get into all of that today, so do stay tuned and you can hear all my advice and the different steps of how to very simply do this. So right before I jump in, on screen, as always, my coaching offers, how to work with me one-on-one, get that extra support that you might need, as well as just becoming a monthly member because you get loads of extra benefits and exclusive content. And yeah, so do take a look, click the buttons and links below, and now let's get started. The first thing I will say is that you definitely want to distract yourself with hobbies. So anything where you can be really productive and take on things that you enjoy, maybe the things you normally do, because you don't want to keep your SP on a pedestal and your manifestation in whatever context it may be on a pedestal. You want to prioritize yourself, your happiness, your well-being, just living your life. You don't need to put your life on hold to manifest your specific person. So any hobbies you enjoy, even simple tasks that are just enjoyable, relaxing, lift your mood, that's going to make it easier to think positive thoughts. If you feel good, if you feel relaxed and accomplished and like you've had an enjoyable or productive day and you've not just sat there, wasting time worrying about your SP or trying to obsess and check up on things, you're going to feel better and just, like I said, accomplished. So distracting yourself, that is the key word. Not only is it going to be productive, it's going to be distracting. That's just going to be a really great first step to not obsessing over your SP and not doing the thing I will explain that might be delaying your person from coming in. Essentially, you're not going to be leaving any time for wavering. If you keep your day full and if you keep to a specific type of schedule and say, okay, this is more or less what I want to tick off the list every day. These are simple, short tasks. It doesn't have to be, I spend hours a day doing this, I change my whole life. It can be just inserting little tasks and hobbies and events throughout the day, whenever you can. If you go to school or work, the work day, the school day obviously is going to be pretty full in itself, but just in general where you can and, maybe just on weekends, filling out your time productively. You're not going to let your mind even have that time to waver. You're not leaving any time to spiral. You're going to, like I said, have it more productive and busy. You're going to be so distracted that you will actually naturally find that your mind doesn't waver as much. You're teaching yourself not to jump to worst case scenario, not to keep your SP on the pedestal and change the way you think. The issue mainly, and why I recommend that, is because you're focusing on the 3D reality and time. If you're focusing on circumstances and what's going on around you or lack thereof with your specific person, then you're focusing your mind on the old story, the negatives. You're saying to yourself, look at all these things going wrong, look at all the lack of movement, look at everything that's not here. It's kind of counteracting what you're telling your subconscious mind by repeatedly saying, SP loves me, SP and I are together, whatever affirmations you might be using. And then you're going back and immediately saying, but it's not here yet, but it's not happening, but all these other opposite things are still true, or but remember those negative memories. You're counteracting it and you're going back and forth. You're creating this cycle of hot and cold, and therefore your person probably isn't conforming quickly. It isn't going to visibly shift in your 3D reality, at least not, at the present moment, because you're not focusing on the new version. You're not saturating your mind with that manifestation. You're focusing on what's going on around you and the temporary current circumstances. And then again, in terms of actual time, you in that sense would be telling your mind, it's been X amount of days, I'm checking again every couple of hours. I'm checking and reminding myself that this is how long it's taken, this is how long it's been. You're again just reaffirming that old story. You don't want to remind yourself of how long it's been, and honestly, being productive and focusing on other things, it takes your SP and manifestation off the pedestal because you're saying, my life is full and happy regardless. I'm putting myself first. I'm not, saying it's the be all end all to have my specific person. I'm not desperate for it. You're removing yourself out of that state, out of that negative mental state by physically and literally just doing other things, going to the gym, meeting with your friends, taking up a new hobby, you know, anything, horse riding, jewelry making, reading, martial arts, swimming, you know, anything feminine or masculine, whatever it is you enjoy. So many different hobbies and tasks, even just going for a walk and listening to your favorite podcast. All of these are really simple, easy things, whatever it is you enjoy. Obviously, like something to do with physical activity is really important too. You don't want to stay cooped up in your home all day long, but whatever it is, you're taking yourself out of that negative state and saying, I'm going to do something I enjoy. It doesn't matter what my SP is doing right now. This is how I live my life. This is how I enjoy my life. And yes, I spent 30 minutes this morning looping my affirmations, but now I'm also going to do things for myself. You know, one way to really ensure you're also not only distracting yourself and having positive habits, but actually putting in the amount of time and effort you need to saturate your mind, create those new beliefs and thoughts, is by setting a timer for your affirmations. You're going to be looping your affirmations to a point where it's enough to saturate the subconscious, override anything negative, and start to actually shift your beliefs long term and fully conform your own mindset. And you know, you might think, okay, I'm putting in effort, but then if you're not aware of your thoughts throughout the day, and like I said, if you focus so much on your 3D reality and tell yourself, you know, I need to watch Alexa's video on an SP not showing up because my SP doesn't show up. But then you're repeating that so many times that is the assumption you now have. My manifestation's taking ages, it's delayed, there's a problem, SP isn't conforming. People have commented this a lot and you're just reaffirming it by writing it out. So obviously that doesn't relate to coaching, but I mean, like, you know, writing it in YouTube comments, telling yourself, you obviously assume that fully for you to write that as well. So that's just an example I've personally seen as well. And by reminding yourself of these things, you are reaffirming it. So the more productive and busy you stay, and the more you know, I have put an hour of affirming more or less today into my SP, and I've spent the rest of my time doing what I enjoy, prioritizing myself and my mental well-being, then you know you've put in the right amount of work, and you know, oh, I actually haven't thought about SP in a couple of days outside of affirming. You know, you'll realize that there has actually been a positive shift in the way you think. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, creating somewhat of a schedule, a general idea. Obviously every day can be a little bit different, but if you say, when I wake up, it's 5 minutes of looping my affirmations before I even get up, as I'm falling asleep, you know, at my lunch break, while I'm doing this, while I'm cleaning, whatever it is, set aside your time and say, this is how I'm going to make sure I'm on track, I'm thinking positively, I'm shifting my mindset around, and having a general idea of what you should be doing. You're going to be organized, you're going to feel a lot better, you're not going to spiral or panic as much. You're going to have a routine that you're in control of, more or less speaking. So that is a really, really good step as well, to actually get super organized with it. So you kind of know, you know, this is what I'm going to try my best to do every day. So of course it does require self-discipline and practice. It is consistency that builds up. The first day might be difficult, the first hour might be difficult. The more you do it, the easier and more believable and realistic and very simple it all becomes. You'll start to enjoy it, you'll start to believe it, it'll be empowering, but it does take consistency. You cannot break down and start spiraling and start falling back into those negative patterns, and you know, without applying a mental diet or bringing yourself back on track as soon as possible. If you fall back in, you're just going to keep creating the hot and cold patterns. So make sure you try your best to stay consistent, keep building on it every day, and remember that movement's always happening, and the only thing that would be holding you back and holding back that movement and visible powerful shifts of your SP conforming is focusing on the 3D, focusing on the lack, focusing on the negatives. So the more you stay positive and stay on track with your thoughts of, you know, the new version, the new story, the more your SP will conform, the more visible movement it will eventually create. Because like I said, there's always movement, and eventually it will be completely visible and, you know, leading into your full end result. But you need to be the one to put in that effort, stay on track, try your best to be persistent. And yeah, I think that summarizes today's video. So just try and make sure you're not analyzing and focusing too much on any temporary circumstances going on around you. And yeah, that is today's video. If you guys did enjoy, please do thumbs up, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and I will see you guys next time.